According to Rich Samini of ESPN, contract talks have not even begun with Jets nickel corner Michael Carter II. Hassan Reddick has not been at OTAs. Is he holding out for a new contract? We'll talk about that and much more in today's version of NY Flight Jets Talk. My guest is Jets beat writer for the New York Daily News, Antwan Staley. Let's roll.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Samini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Here we go. It's a Sunday afternoon. Welcome in, everyone. Like I said, today we'll be talking about just the news with Michael Carter's contract, and then Hassan Reddick has not been at OTAs. Is he holding out for an extension? A lot to talk about, so we're going to bring on my guest right away, Mr. Antwan Staley of the New York Daily News. Antwan, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You ready to dive right into it?
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna start right away with the news with Michael Carter. Obviously, he's a very interesting situation with his contract, along with Jets cornerback DJ Reed. Are they gonna extend him? How are they gonna? I hope they could manage to keep both of them. But personally, if I had to choose to keep one, it would be Michael Carter. So, what's your overall stance on talks not even starting? And do you think they will be able to retain both of them? If not, who do you think they will retain?
I'm not surprised just because the Jets don't have a ton of cap space at the moment. So, and you want to save some money you never know what might happen or who might come available training camp or after that and things of that nature too. So it's good to have a little bit of, cash flow to just to have available. But no, I'm not surprised. You looked at the Bryce Huff situation a year ago. You thought that they would have some sense of urgency to possibly try to re-sign him. Obviously, that didn't happen, and he ended up going to Philadelphia. And now you find yourself in a kind of a similar situation where you have a homegrown talent like Michael Carter II, who you definitely want to keep. I think he's one of the best slot corners in football and a key instrumental part of that defense too, as well. So yeah, I think they. I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to test free agency at this point, especially considering the season's on the horizon, training camp and things of that nature too. But I think they're going to try to keep at least one of them. It might be DJ Reed, might be the guy that they end up keeping, and they end up taking stickers in the draft too. So that could essentially be Michael Carter the second's replacement. I think you're just trying to have a little bit of foresight, knowing that you have two guys that's going to be free agents at the end of the year, and most likely you're probably going to move on from one of them. In a perfect world, you would like to keep everybody, but that's just not realistic in the NFL. So, but I do think they'll keep one of the two. If I had to bet money, it'd probably be DJ Reed, but we'll see. It's still early in the process.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And the name you mentioned there is Quantez Stickers, Jets' fifth-round pick out of this Canadian Football League. And, he's impressed in training camp, not training camp, OTAs. He's looked really nice. And as a fifth-round guy, if he can come in and, I heard he had that pick. He took Tyrod's cut off a route off Tyrod's Taylor and then took it to the house. If we could have just minimal production from Quantez Stickers and work him in, like you said, to eventually replace Michael Carter II in that defense, I'd rather keep Reed because I think Reed, I think Carter II is very solid. But if the Jets are confident in Stiggers and they really like him, get rid of Carter and then keep Reed. I know Reed's older, but still, him and Carter have two different types of games, and Stiggers and Carter it's kind of similar. But right. I 100% agree. I think it's kind of reminds me nowhere as near as extreme, but like the situation with the Jermaine, Brees, Garrett, and Sauce draft class. Obviously you want to keep all four, but realistically, I think they come away with two of the four when it comes to re-signing those guys.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick. Yeah, I think that's the part of it too that doesn't get talked about too. You eventually gonna have to start paying them, and then they're eligible for extensions after 2024. So I imagine Sauce will probably be the highest priority out of all of them.
30 around. I think around 30 a year he's going to command with his production.
If he makes another All-Pro team, 3 in a row, and the Pro Bowl, it could be the biggest quarterback salary ever. to be quite honest with you. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at a guy like Antwan Winfield, and yeah, they play different positions, but still in that defensive back tree, I think Salsa get more money than that. I mean, because I think he's a much better player, at least at this juncture right now. So yeah, I think you got to pay him. Brees is also on the horizon. He doesn't have that fifth year option like Jermaine and Garrett does too, and along with Saul. So yeah, I think the sense of urgency is there. I think they'll try to keep three of them, but as I said earlier, it's hard to keep everybody, and especially with the limited cash flow that you have on a roster.
Yeah, along with once Aaron Rodgers retires and is done with the Jets, they're in for a massive payday for Rodgers in terms of money they're going to owe him. But going back to Carter and Reed, like I said, I'd probably rather keep Reed than Carter just because I think the chemistry, the way Sauce and Reed complement each other in that secondary, I think is really nice. So personally, but moving on, staying on the side of the ball, a name that the Jets acquired from the Eagles in March via trade, Hassan Reddick. Now, Hassan Reddick has not been at OTAs, and there's a lot of controversy with his contract. The second the Jets traded for him, Mike Garafolo of NFL Network was already putting out tweets like, how is this going to work? Are they going to extend him? Extend or rent Hassan Reddick, Antwan?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to. I mean, he's old. I mean, all his salary is non-guaranteed. So, I mean, essentially what they could do, and what I think they probably will do at this point, and just play out the last year of his deal. He'll be on the team for sure. And then, we'll see. We'll see what kind of year that he has as well. But yeah, I thought initially, I actually wrote about ways that they could free up more money throughout the offseason because at the time the Jets were kind of strapped for cash. And, if they wanted to, they could renegotiate it. Also, instead in DJ Reed, that would open up some more money too, as well, instead of some other people too, as well. So, but it doesn't seem like they're eager to do that right now. So it seems like Reddick is probably going to go into the last year of his deal there. I know he hasn't been at OTAs, at least not yet. It's optional. That's what I tell people. You
Yeah.
don't have to show up, although it's good if you do. It would be interesting to see if he actually shows up for mandatory minicamp, which would be next week. And then if he doesn't, then you kind of know that a lot of this could be contract related on the reasons why he's not available, not he's absent from the Jets minicamp.
Yeah, so I 100% agree that like optional OTAs, but then a name who not a lot of Jet fans have been talking about that's unsigned from the Jets draft class, who's been at rookie camp, mini camp, OTAs, is Malachi Corley. Malachi Corley has not been signed by the Jets yet. Is there any concern you think with that contract? Do you think they'll get it done?
Yeah, I mean, it's all slotted anyway. So, I mean, you can, the guaranteed money, I think, is a lot of, kind of incentives is that kind of what, the holdup has been, but it's all slotted. So, no matter where he, what you decide to do there. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna be paid whatever he's gonna pay, especially him being the third round pick. So, yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal, not yet. Now, if he goes into training camp and nothing happens, then yeah, it's a bit of a concern if you're the Jets in that end. But yeah, this juncture, I'm sure it'll get done at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if it got done in the next few weeks before everybody wraps up for the summer and head into training camp.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but when the Jets drafted Zach Wilson, he went unsigned for
I do.
for a good amount of time. Like
Yeah.
he was unsigned for a really solid amount of time, and then they obviously ended up inking that deal, and we all know how that went. And he is no longer in a Jets uniform. But yeah, I don't think the Corley deal will be a problem, and he's a guy that I really like. I think he can get really involved in this offense, especially with Mike Williams. If Mike Williams is not fully healthy for Week 1 and beginning of the season, but I think he can also contribute on special teams, and that leads me to my next point. Who do you think are the top special teamers on this roster? As you know, the Jets just signed running back Tariq Cohen, who I think will be a very solid addition to the special teams. Izzy, who might be playing for a roster spot, could also play special teams. Where do you stand on this special teams room?
Well, I mean, you lose Justin Hardy, which was a bit of a bit blow there. But I think they really like Herb Charles and what he was able to give
Mhm.
them last year, especially when Hardy was out. So it was kind of a bit of a blessing in disguise that they were able to see what they had in Charles, and all of a sudden now I think he's their top special teams guy as far as the gunner and things of that nature too. I will need to talk about the kicking situation because we already know how good those guys are, and Zerline and obviously Thomas Morris there. Like you're in a good situation where a lot of teams don't have, one good kicker. Now you got a good punter and a good
Mhm.
kicker. So I think for of that, the Jets have one of the best special teams units there. Xavier Gipson, you look at him as well. Obviously had the big time punt return against the Bills in Week 1 of the 2023 season. Really, kind of struggled at times with returns and things of that nature too last year, but overall, I think they really like him, and obviously the speed is kind of what catches your eye with him, and the ability to have that home run type of ability there. So yeah, I mean, look at him, Ashton Davis. I imagine he'll be part of the special teams unit there. With the new kickoff rule with Tariq Cohen, I kind of talked about this in the article. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to have his, kick the tires and see what he still has left too. He's 28 years old, has a lot of major injuries in his career, a little bit older player too as well. But, there's nothing wrong with just seeing, what he has left in the tank too. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't make the team. And, they can continue to, have Izzy or whoever they want to have back there, along with the kick return in addition to Gibson. But, I think, just having that 90-man roster, you're able to, see what veteran guys that still like him still might have in the take. And he's definitely still explosive. We saw him in OTAs had a nice run there too as well. So yeah, I mean, I can't fault the Jets for at least kicking the tires on Cohen and see what he has left in the tank.
Yeah, last time we spoke, I at least was very low on Izzy, and that was pre the Jets signing Tariq Cohen. Now with the Jets signing Cohen, boy, I think he's a practice squad guy.
I mean, he might not even make that. I mean, he could be, yes, because you look at Allen and definitely the way that he's produced in OTAs. Just we only been there 2 days, but he's getting a lot of the carries that you thought Izzy might get to as well. Isaiah Davis is also getting a lot of those carries too as well. So I actually wrote about going into OTAs that Izzy might be the odd man out in that situation. Nope. He was a 5th round pick there. I know he's like only 21 years old. They certainly could keep him in addition on the roster too, but you also have to factor in Nick Bowden, who's a fullback, but technically a running back too. So, but that's also a player that's going to take up a roster spot too. So, I mean, yeah, they could definitely have to think Izzy is fighting for a roster spot this upcoming throughout the summer and training camp.
Yeah, I think him and Cohen, it's going to be really interesting to see because the Jets obviously were very high on Izzy going into this year if they drafted 2 guys and then also signed Cohen. But I'm interested to see how he stacks up against Cohen, given that Cohen hasn't played in such a long time. I'm really interested to see how the Jets look at both those guys. But I think Cohen, I'd take Cohen more because I think you can move him around more. He could play special teams. He could play on the offense. Versus Izzy, I look at him, and I think if he was to receive any reps on this Jets roster, I think it's going to be lower than what he got last year. Like worse reps than what he got last year, which, I think is hard to do because he barely saw the field last year. And I think Isaiah Davis is going to be the guy who kind of takes over that role. I think he might be that guy who's kind of like that. They mix him in whenever they feel like using him. But Antwan, we got a caller on the line. Antwan, I don't know if you're ready for this. I have not been blessed by this caller on my show. First time calling in. All hail the King. King Lowski joining the show. King, how you doing today?
Kind of long, my brother. How we doing on this beautiful Sunday, man? It's always good to see you doing what you're most passionate about and what you really want to do. Talk about the Jets all day, baby. It's good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, King. How about you? Talking Jets. Nothing beats talking Jets with Antwan Staley and King Lowski on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, man. It's always good to hear the insight of my dear brother Antwan, man. Hey, man, he has all the insights. He knows what's going on in the organization. He knows about these rookies. He knows about these undrafted free agents. So it's always good to hear Andrew, man. Good to see you, brother Andrew.
Antwan.
Antoine, I apologize. Man. I apologize. Hey man, it's been a long day. I apologize, Antoine, man. Hey, but like I said, it's always good to see you and let's talk some Jets, baby.
Yes. So I have a question for you, Kay. Where do you stand on this Michael Carter, DJ Reed contract saga?
As far as Michael Carter is concerned, he did develop quite a bit much. I like the way Michael Carter plays the slot. As far as DJ Reed, he's been a little disappointed to me. Not much, just a little bit. Okay, it's been a few times where DJ he just it seems like he gets burnt. Let's he's undersized a little bit, and a lot of guys, they beat him over the top. But he's still one of the top elite corners in the game. I just would rather Michael Carter at this stage than DJ Reed because of the fact that slot corner is really hard to play, man. And I believe that some of our corners last year in that Eagles game showed us a lot. Okay, that cat James, I believe he can develop. Stiggers, I believe he can develop. I've been hearing a lot of things out of from him in OTAs. So I believe that he can develop. I believe we can get another outside corner, but that slot corner is hard to come by.
Thank you, King. I appreciate the call. You got any final thoughts?
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you, Connor, man.
Of
Keep
course.
doing what you're doing. Hey, man, let everybody know that you are one of the most passionate and well-informed Jet fans out here, man. And you were only 12, bro. And I respect it, okay? At the end of the day, man, we need more passionate Jet fans like you who are of your age, of your ilk, who care about the Jets, who want to see the Jets do good, all right? Jets! Jets, Jets, Jets!
There we go, King. Woof, Antwan. What are your thoughts?
Nothing really. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. But I'll say, I mean, yeah, I think you talk about DJ Reed. I mean, if you do let him go, then yeah, you have to find another boundary corner in addition to Sauce Gardner too. So I mean, eh, if that's what they want to do, then that's perfectly fine. But yeah, he wouldn't be easy to replace either because I think they have the best tandem of cornerbacks as far as the outside guys in the league, at least right now. To be quite honest with you, especially with Snead going on to Tennessee now and McDuffie still in Kansas City, I thought they had the best two corners in football. But yeah, I definitely think now you have to look at DJ Reed and Sauce definitely up, and then if you add Michael Carter as well, then I don't know if anybody else has a trio like that in the league.
Yeah, I think you can argue like MC2 or Reed from both sides of the story. And, NY Jets Superfan has a really interesting statement here. I think both MC2 and Reed are goners. Eccles and Stiggers are cheap and might be good enough. I disagree with this statement. What about you, Antwan?
If you saying might be good enough, then you're not sure. So yeah,
Yep.
you at least need to keep one of those. Like if you don't just let that kind of talent walk out the door, especially if if you're gonna let Reed go, then you got to keep Carter, and then vice versa. Like you at least got to keep one of them. It's with Carter being a homegrown talent, somebody that you drafted and developed, and then just to see him walk out the door, kind of what happened to Bryce Huff. Yeah, I think that would be and along with Reed, then I think that would be devastating to the quarterback room as well. And then that would put more pressure on Sauce Gardner. Although I know he would be able to step up and be able to handle it, but it still would be a lot on his plate, especially considering what DJ Reed brings to the table too as well.
Yeah, so I don't feel comfortable with having to rely on a fifth round pick out of the Canadian Football League to be a top talent in this Jets defensive back room. I want to have a plan where we can ease a guy like Stiggers in, have him learn from an older vet like DJ Reed, have him learn from the young great Sauce Gardner. Even Eccles, the Jets. I know the Jets like him on special teams. He can contribute on special teams, and he owns the Dolphins with like interceptions and stuff. He always dominates against the Dolphins. I can't find a world where I feel comfortable with those two names being the top cornerbacks on this. Obviously behind Sauce Gardner on this Jets roster.
Right now, yes. Now we'll see what the season may bring. Maybe Stickers steps up and then becomes the player that you could be that guy. But as of right now, it's still an unknown. And yeah, I think I think you have to keep at least one of those guys, like at least right now. Like again, the season could be a whole different story. Who knows? Like Eccles could continue to develop. Obviously, Stickers could, who I really like I say, he's really played well in OTAs and really mature for somebody at his age. You would think he's more like a fifth year veteran as opposed to somebody that's just entering the league. But yeah, I think it's I think they definitely have to keep one of those guys.
Yeah, I know it, like you said, it definitely will be a lot on Sauce's plate if they were to do that. But Sauce Gardner, I'm looking at this tweet now from PFF. He's gone 68 straight targets without allowing a touchdown. That's going all the way back to 2022. And in college, I don't believe he allowed a single touchdown in
He
college.
didn't. He did
Yeah,
not. No.
he did not allow a single touchdown in college, and he hasn't allowed one since 2022. And I remember that. I believe that was against the Bengals. I think it was T. Higgins who had that touchdown
I think
against
he allowed one against the Browns and Amari Cooper. I want to say,
Amari Cooper.
like, because yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah,
think that was his that was like the second game of his career, and then
but
yeah,
I
Amari
yes,
went off for that
still
game.
the fact that we're even arguing over when that he last allowed a touchdown dating back all the way to early this year is just insane. Sauce is a special talent, but NY Jets superfan coming back. I agree, Antwan, but I think the Jets will prioritize Sauce, JJ, Brees Garrett, and AVT. I think they will also try and re-sign Reddick and Moses and get a wide receiver or tight end next year.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can see that. I mean, it also, yeah, I imagine Fashion New is definitely going to be the left tackle of the future, like after this year as well. We'll see how much he plays in 2024, but yeah, I think you put him on the left side there. We'll see what Moses, if he's able to stay healthy. He's coming off a major injury that he suffered with the Ravens last year, had off-season surgery. So yeah, I mean, he could be a priority there. You definitely want to lock up those had the bookend tackle positions there. In terms of Reddick, it's also going to depend on how much he wants. I mean, I think they would like to keep him, but at the same time, if he's like double digit sack guy perennial, like for 4 straight years. He's probably going to want a lot of money, especially considering he's getting up there in age, and I think he's past 30 at this point, or at 30. So uh, I think they would like to keep him, but it also is going to depend on how much he would settle for. Because I'm sure the Jets probably wouldn't give him the biggest offer, considering they have other priorities that they have to take care of, including those young guys.
Yeah, I agree with NY Jets superfan. Honestly, if it was to sacrifice getting rid of those two to sign all four, I'd do that. But my worst nightmare is that the Jets do what NY Jets superfan does. They don't re-sign DJ Reed or Michael Carter II, just so they can go all in on resigning Sauce, JJ Brees, Garrett, and AVT, and then they only land 2 out of those 5. That's my worst nightmare. If we're gonna get rid of those 2 guys, I want all 4 back. But again, like I mentioned earlier in the show, we could all dream about that. Would that be awesome to have all 4 guys back? Yes, Jet fans would go crazy. But realistically, I just don't see it happening. And let's say, Antwan, the Jets were to re-sign 2 of those guys from the Sauce, Brees, Garrett, Jermaine class. Who do you think those 2 would be? Personally, if I had to pick 2, I'd go Garrett and Sauce.
I would say Sauce and probably Brees at this point.
Brees.
Like I think you we want to stop resign Garrett, obviously, but I think it goes
Running backs, he's such a good running back, and those don't come easy. Those don't
that
come easy.
and I think the fact that he was a second round pick, you don't have that
Yeah.
luxury where you have the fifth round, you have the fifth year option like you do with Salt, like you do with Garrett and also JJ as well. But and I think Garrett. I mean, he's talked about this plenty of time. Like he wants to win. Like I think he's been
Mhm.
very frustrated about the last couple years, and especially last year, where you could go in and get Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden he gets hurt, and you end up having this another 7 to 10 year. Now the expectations are a lot higher, and the Jets are expected to make the playoffs this year. But he wants to win. He's been very frustrated. He called last year the worst year of his life. Might have been dramatic or what over dramatic a little bit, but the
Mm,
fact of the matter is, like, he's very frustrated.
he
He's not
wants to
used to
win.
losing. He's not used to losing. So if they continue to, if they don't have the year that I think many people expect, then that would be something to keep an eye on too as well. Because he might not, he might decide, what, I might want to test free agency. I might want to see what else is out there too. I could see Sauce definitely wanting to stay. I could see Brees definitely wanting to stay too, because I think those guys are probably higher priority there. Jermaine Johnson, we'll see. We'll see how that goes, because I think he's going to continue to develop and be a really, really good player. But if you asking me to pick 2 players, it would definitely be Brees and Sauce at this point.
Yeah, you might. Obviously, you just mentioned re-signing Brees. Hennessy Heisman. Do you agree with this, Antoine? Brees will have a good year and hold out next year.
I mean, if they can't get anything done, then essentially, I mean, that would be the last year of his contract. So yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's certainly a possible scenario that you run into because he's going to want to get paid, and if he has a big year, because I think a lot of people on the outside looking in thinking, yeah, Chris McCaffrey, and you're looking for that second best running back in the league. It could be Brees Hall. I mean, everything that he does, like catching the ball out the backfield, being a playmaker in the backfield, and then just a matchup nightmare for a lot of defenses too. So yeah, if he ends up having a tremendous year, and I thought last year he had a really good year, I just think they didn't use him the way that they should have, like in the middle part of the year. And I think finally Hackett just finally realized the type of talent that he had and started using him, not only just running the ball in the backfield, but also catching the ball. And that's something they should have been doing, from day one, from game one.
Yeah, Antwan, I agree. I definitely agree with great points on why you should resign all four. I think the one name that I think I can eliminate if I had to pick two to resign, I don't think Jermaine Johnson would be on that list just because the defensive line talent with Quinn and then those guys are so solid. But like you can make a case for the Jets, like all four of them, why they should be the number one to prioritize. You can make a case for all four of them. That just goes to show how talented of a class that was. But Antwan, I really appreciate you joining me today. You got any final thoughts?
I'll just say this about Jermaine, like the defensive line room. Like it's still some questions there too, especially when you let go, when you end up trading John Franklin Myers there. Not only you lose a veteran talent there, but somebody that can play the inside and also the outside too is like being a pass rusher. So they believe Michael Clemens is possibly ready for extended role, taking over there for John Franklin Myers. It remains to be seen if he can do that consistently, but they still got some questions there, especially stopping the run last year. Although, you look at numbers wise, they were 25th in runs allowed, rushing yards allowed. But I think the explosive runs really killed them at times last year. When you look at certain games like Cleveland or the Raiders game when Josh Jacobs had that big run there, and that was a big problem for the Jets. So I'm still curious to see how that run defense is going to hold up.
Antwan, we have a question at the buzzer right before we let you go. Crazy Sticks, would you say it's too late for Salah to help on offense? He should have done it with the rookie OC this year.
Oh, excuse me.
That's
I
you.
mean, if the way I put it like this, and I've talked about this on Twitter, if your butt's on the line, especially considering with Robert Sala and everybody else, this is it. Like they got a
Yep.
plug in last year.
Final countdown.
Like they have to win this year. Like they know it, we know it, everybody knows it. The players know it too. So I don't think it's too late. I think he understands the states that are going on right now and what it's going to be throughout the year. So why not, be more of a CEO type of role? But yeah, I agree. He probably should have had his hand in the cookie jar a little bit sooner. But you got to look at the fact that he's a young coach and he's still learning. People still take time to develop in anything in any walk of life. And I think with Salah, like him being his first year, 2021, he probably, didn't understand, trying to be in the offensive room and being having the more hands-on approach there too. But I think now with Aaron and everything and Hackett and the fire that he's going on the last couple of years with the last year really, because a lot of people took a lot of criticism for a lot of different people. He wants to have his hand in the cookie jar and understand what the offense is doing, and I think he should, especially him being the CEO of an organization, and that's what they do. That's what I think a lot of coaches do.
Antwan, now time for your final thoughts.
Okay. No, I don't have anything like that. I'm good.
You
Hey,
don't?
people can find me at Antwan Staley, Twitter, New York Daily News as well. So just keep an eye on me there.
Everyone, thank you guys for watching. And as always, JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets.